Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aditya Singh, your chairperson for this committee. Just a few guidelines before we all start, and we go on to answer your doubts as well in the beginning. Uh, Please note that this meeting is being recorded, so we would appreciate if you use rather professional language when it comes to the unmoderated caucus or even the moderated caucus, or when you're giving your speeches. Second of all, when we have the guest speaker arriving in the committee, once I recognize them, all of you must also join me in recognizing their presence as well. It's expected of you to ask the guest speaker certain questions as well. And I'm sure all of you can find such questions among your own minds, because these speakers are really experienced in their own fields, and it would be really appreciated if all of you could do that. And in regards to that, all of that, uh, I have also noted that some of you haven't submitted your position papers. Please do so. I'm extending the deadline by 1 hour more, and after that, I won't be taking any position papers. The position papers are being marked. I think Veera Sharma ma'am is over here among us. Can we all please recognize the presence of Veera Sharma ma'am, who is the Global Times editor for Amity. We thank you, ma'am, for joining us in this meeting.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Can we do Debanjali, ma'am, can we do the session right now with Veera, ma'am?
I think you have another speaker today. My thing is tomorrow. I just came to attend. Huh?
Right. But thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presence. So moving on with that, I think these guidelines are very clear. Please use proper language when you're speaking in the committees. And also recognize the fact that you all are editors of your organizations. You can use personal pronouns, but be respectful to your delegates. Do not criticize anyone per se. And all of you, Pranavi, the rapporteur of this committee, she has sent the renaming format for your name so that it's easier for us to identify you in the committee. Please rename yourselves accordingly. Got it? So once you all have renamed yourself, we would like you all to switch on your cameras. After all, we should also see your faces. We should see the faces which will be speaking to us in few moments.
Aditya, this is a must thing to do.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. It's essential that all of you should turn on your cameras, because after all, how will we recognize you in the first place after that? So everyone, please turn on your cameras. I again request everyone to please turn on the cameras. I can see many cameras are not turned on. Delegates of the committee are supposed to rename themselves and turn on their cameras. And turn on your cameras with the backgrounds which has been provided to you. Fine. So we begin by the doubt sessions. Whatever doubts you all have, you can all ask them right now. After that, I'll explain certain things about the committee. Does anyone have any doubts related to the background guide or the committee procedures? You could raise your hands if you do. I'm assuming there are no. Okay. Interfax News Agency, you're recognized.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask and clarify, how much time will we get for the GSL?
Okay, so many have asked me this question. The answer to that is we will have voting. After the attendance is taken, we'll have a voting on how much time do you all want to have the GSL for. It could be 90 seconds, it could be 60 seconds. I hope all of you are aware of how a motion is raised in the committee. So a person raises a motion, and accordingly, you all can vote, and we will have the GSL according to that. Is that fine? Great. Fox News, you are recognized.
Honorable Chair, good evening to all present here. I would like to ask if you could elaborate on the proceedings of today's meeting.
So what we were planning was that once you all take your GSLs, which will I think take approx 40 to 45 minutes, then we would have an unmod for you guys so that you can decide a moderated caucus topic as well. Okay, generally we are following the conventional rules of procedure in this committee, but once the moderated caucus ends, we will introduce a crisis in the committee. I think that has been told to you in the background guide. As for the documentation, which has been said that after every 2 rounds of speech, you will give documentation. That's not necessary. We'll tell you when the floor is open for documentation as such. Your final document for this committee would be the editorial. Okay, but till then, whenever you are given a crisis, your documents will be the crisis coverage plan. So once we have GSLs, and we are expecting you all to have POIs in both GSL and moderated caucus, we are expecting that from you, because in this committee, we are going to give priority to debate over documentation. This is not a conventional international press committee. You all are in an MUN environment, okay? So we are simulating that as if you are all editors sitting in a guild with each other and discussing the agenda. So I hope I've clarified that doubt. Yes. Press Trust of India, you are recognized.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I cannot find the option to change my background. Or is it because I'm using the phone or something? I'm not sure.
Maybe it is. It's preferable that you be on your laptops for this. Okay, if you can be. Otherwise,
I don't
I
really
think
have
you
a
will
laptop.
face issues in that case.
Alright.
Any other delegates with any doubts? Deutschwell, you are recognized.
Hi, good afternoon. I just had a doubt that I'm not able to rename myself in the committee. So how am I supposed to do that? Because I'm not here.
You go on into the participants list and right click on your name, I guess. Or you have that 3 dots wala button. You can use that and use rename.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And also one more thing.
Yes.
If I'm not able to add any background, is it okay?
It would be preferable if you can.
Okay,
It
sure.
would be preferable.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other doubts in the committee? I'm surprised that there are no doubts considering the fact that the press corps is a very brand new committee which was introduced this year. And I'm surprised किसी को भी doubts ही नहीं है इस session से related. Yes, New York Times, you are recognized.
Hello, do we all have to submit a editorial piece, or is it like?
It's expected that the editorial will be a unanimous document within the committee.
Okay, thank you.
So all of you will have a part in it. What can be your individual documentation is the crisis coverage plan, but it can also be something which is unanimous, and we prefer that you all interact with each other. So if you give us individual crisis coverage plans, then we will scrutinize them काफी ज़्यादा, because we want to encourage debate and cooperation amongst each other. Okay, we don't want you to go on and solve the crisis by yourself, which is not possible. Fine. No one has any other doubts. Fine. Okay. I hope everyone has read the background guide, because it was very detailed. Me and Pranavi both had written it overnight as well. We spent nights writing it, and I hope that many of your doubts are answered through it itself. Now, my expectations as an EB is that all of you have constructive points in your debate. I would prefer to not see any repetitive points in your verbatim in any session you are there, unless and until it's relevant to the moderated caucus you're discussing or the crisis. And I hope that all of you are able to speak a bit slowly if you can, because it's often difficult for other delegates to listen to you, and it's even difficult for us as EBs to listen to you. So please speak slowly. Okay, we'll keep a timer for you, or we'll screen share a timer so that all of you have an idea of when you have started. And we won't do any tapping if that's fine with the committee. If it isn't, then please let me know. But generally, we won't do the tapping. We expect you to see the timer yourself. And if you start exceeding it, we'll stop marking you beyond that point. Is that fine? Yes. Okay. So if I can see around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 students turning on their cameras. We'll start with the attendance as well. Before that, Pranavi, if you want to say anything to the delegates, you may.
Good afternoon, everybody. No, I think you've covered everything. I think we're good to go. All the best, everybody.
Godspeed, everyone. So we'll be beginning with the attendance. Pranavi, can you take it? For the
Right.
delegates. Okay. So she'll be taking your name, and we want you to respond by saying present or voting. That does not matter. Okay. So let's start with the attendance. Pranavi?
Right. Reuters,
Present and voting.
Al Jazeera,
Present and voting.
BBC,
Present and voting.
Asian News International, Asian News International, Press Trust of India,
Present.
ITAR TAS, Agence France, am I audible, delegates?
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Yeah.
Xinhua,
Present and voting.
Associated Press,
Present and voting.
Bloomberg,
Present.
Interfax,
Present and voting.
United Press International,
Present.
ABC News, Deutsche Presse, Fox News,
Present and voting.
Sky News,
Present and voting.
Antara, Washington Post, Hartes,
Present.
Deutsche Welle,
Present.
New York Times.
Present.
I'll be repeating for the delegates who were not able to answer. If they're in the committee now, to please unmute themselves. Asian News International, not present. ITARTAS, Agents France,
Present and voting.
Sky News, Sky News, Antara, Washington Post,
Present and voting.
right? I think we're done with the roll calls.
Right, okay. First of all, it would be preferable all of you respond very promptly. Should not take us so much time to take attendance. And please switch on your cameras. I cannot stress that enough. So we have, I think, the strength of 15 members in this committee. The simple majority in this committee would then be 8, and 2/3. We won't have any 2/3 majority as such in this committee. Is that fine? Okay. And those of you who are not recognized, or please tell me right now, because then we'll proceed with the committee proceedings, and then I won't take your attendance as such. And turn on your cameras. Can't stress it enough. Right. So we'll be moving on with the motions. Are there any motions on the floor? There are no motions on the floor. Raise your hand in properly, delegate. Okay, BBC, you are recognized.
Right. I'm so sorry. Either delegate of the BBC would like to raise a motion to suspend formal debate, move into a moderated caucus on the topic AI's impact on journalists, with special emphasis on ethics and regulatory frameworks, with total time being 90 minutes and individual speakers' time being 110 seconds.
Okay. Those who are for the motion, please raise your hands. Delegates, I need you to vote on the motion. Or is everyone against the motion?
I'm not able to from where is the option to raise the hand?
It's supposed to be beneath you in the 3 more section. You have the recognize hand gestures over there. So there are 3 people for the motion. Those who are against the motion, please raise your hands. Delegates, our effective strength is at 15, and I'm seeing only 4 hands raised against the motion. 5. 7 or 8 of you aren't voting. So I'm wondering what is happening. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The motion fails. Are there any other motions on the floor? Yes, Reuters, you are recognized.
I would like to propose a motion for a GSR.
Okay. Delegates who are delegate for how much total time and individual speakers time?
For a total time of 90 minutes with the individual speaker's time of 90 seconds.
90 seconds, right. Delegates who are for the motion, please raise your hands. Okay, cha. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The motion passes because I don't think Yeah. Okay, delegates, we are now in the GSL session. Delegates who wish to be, do you all want to go on recognition basis or do you want me to choose you at random?
Recognition basis.
Okay.
Recognition basis.
Recognition basis.
Imagine how fun it would be if I were to choose you at random now. None of you would have anything to say. So, delegates who wish to be recognized for the motion, please raise your hands. Who wish to speak? Sorry. Okay. First person to be recognized is Reuters, followed by Interfax, followed by ANI, followed by BBC. Please keep lowering your hands once you're called. Followed by UPI, followed by Bloomberg, followed by PTI, then Genua, Fox, and Deutsche. One, two.
Washington Post also wants to be recognized.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also Al Jazeera.
Okay. Al Jazeera. You're supposed to raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 speakers. Do the other three do not wish to speak? Who is Arav Vikram?
Sorry. I'm
What,
AP.
what is your portfolio, delegate?
My portfolio is AP, Associated Press.
Rename yourself accordingly, please. You wish to be recognized for this motion?
Yes.
Fine. After Al Jazeera, it's AP and then New York Times. Yes, Al Jazeera, to what point do you raise your hand? Okay.
Sorry.
Araf, please lower your hand as well. Okay, so we have $14 delegates. Right. So we start with Reuters. Let me share the Pranavi, can you share the screen for the timer?
Right, I'll just join from the phone to do that.
The timer?
Right, yes.
Do the delegates want to see a timer on their screen so
Yeah.
that they have an idea?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
just
Yeah.
share my screen. I'm sorry, just a second.
One clarification, the editor of Hearties, do you want to speak in this GSL?
I would like to speak a little. I would like to give my name after a few speakers.
The delegate, it's on recognition basis, so I'm putting you at the last, but please do not do such things again. Okay. You are after NYT, editor of Hard Days. Pranavi, are you ready with the timer? Yes, dear delegates, please recognize the presence of our Chef de Cabinet, Mr. Sumed Kapoor, sir. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence. I hope you enjoy seeing our session as well. Okay. Pranavi, can we start?
Yes, we can. It's here. Yeah, I'll just share my screen.
Delegate of Reuters, I hope you are ready with your speech.
Yes, I'm ready.
Hmm.
I am not able to share my screen through the phone. I'll just open a timer on the laptop itself.
Mhm.
So sorry for the delay. Right.
Wonderful.
Shall I begin?
Yes, Delegate of Reuters, you may speak.
Despite its promise of enhanced efficiency through seamless integration into journalism, AI raises a host of critical concerns. In this fast paced era of advancements in journalism, it is crucial to address issues such as the proliferation of misinformation, the erosion of privacy safeguards, and copyrights. The emergence of AI artists like DAL-E and Stable Diffusion have ignited profound ethical debates. Their ability to create deepfakes targeting political figures undermines trust in institutions and propagates misinformation through fast media. However, in cases of copyrights, the risk of charges is lessened due to AI's capacity to custom generate images from textual inputs. Nonetheless, if an AI is charged with plagiarism, it introduces complexities due to AI's legal status as a non human entity, posing challenges for human journalists seeking complete ownership of their work. Importantly, the European Parliament has proposed recognizing autonomous robots as electronic persons for copyright protection. Furthermore, generative AI, especially language models like LLMs, continually learn from vast data sets, raising concerns about user data privacy. Despite efforts by companies like ChatGPT to enhance user privacy, inherent risks persist. Tracy Ann Kosa, an adjunct professor at the Seattle University of Law, contends that the issue doesn't lie in the technology itself, but in the absence of accountability and social responsibility in the profession and technology development. While regulatory frameworks for AI in journalism exist, their presence and implementation are inconsistent. In such a case, a practical approach would involve fostering alliances and collaborations between media companies and existing regulatory bodies, forming journalism associations. These organizations could work together to create a
Delegate,
cohesive set of.
I think that's enough, Delegate. Thank you very much. Are there any points on the floor? Okay. Interfax, followed by Deutschwell. Interfax to what point?
Yeah, I would like to ask Reuters that how are
No,
they?
Delegate to what point? Point of information, point of order, point of. Okay. And delegate of, sorry, editor of Deutsch, followed by editor of Fox. Please, to what point do you raise?
Point of information. To delegate
Fox?
Reuters.
All
Point of
three of your.
information.
Fine. Delegate of facts, please carry on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Reuters that how are they planning on acting against like these fake image, websites like Dolly she mentioned.
Actually, Reuters is in association with Facebook. It has formed a fact-checking website which is used to check misinformation and filter out the correct information, which is then posted on various social media platforms, so as to reduce the risk of misinformation and spread of incorrect content.
All right, thank you.
Editor of Deutsch.
Yes, I wanted to ask the delegate that in your speech you emphasize a lot on copyrights. And also that in your agency, journalists can use AI tools such as ChatGPT to brainstorm headlines and storylines. But my question is that to you is that don't you think that ChatGPT and other AI bots cannot be relied on accurate source of information? I mean, I don't understand how you're trying to define this, but AI chatbots are
Delegate, I think you have said your point. Delegate, did you understand the question?
No, can you repeat it or you weren't audible?
yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask you that ChatGPT and AI chatbots cannot be relied upon accurate sources of information. So how would you define that, I suppose, in purpose of your agency? Notice?
AI chatbots and accurate misinformation is actually dependent upon the algorithmic basis of the data, which is why we will be using a team of credible programmers along with journalists to incorporate the ideals of journalism and to ensure that the data produced by generative AI is factual and correct in nature.
Thank you, Delegate. Editor of Fox, you may speak.
Thank you, Honorable Sir. The editor of Fox News would like to raise a point of information to the editor of Reuters. With the era of technology continuously changing, how does Reuters plan to keep up with newer technologies?
What Reuters has actually proposed an initiative by the name of cybernetic newsrooms, where we combine elements of artificial intelligence with the benefits of AI of human journalism. This fosters a positive relationship between the two and ensures that journalism can move forward in this digital era.
Right. Thank you, Delegate. I think I must have forgotten to say certain things. But we'll move on. I'll tell it to all of you in a while. Editor of Interfax, you may speak.
Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have the honor to represent Interfax News Agency, Russia, in this esteemed committee, tasked with addressing one of the most pressing and timely issues of our era, the future of journalism and the challenges posed by generative artificial intelligence. Once again, note that these opinions differ on my personal perspectives. The field of journalism stands as a cornerstone of our democratic societies, serving as the watchdogs that uphold truth, accountability, and transparency. It is a beacon of hope in an era wreathed with misinformation, and it is journalism that empowers us to make informed decisions, promotes human rights, and champions free expression. The key challenge that we face is the authenticity of news. AI generated content has the potential to blur the lines between human authored and machine generated misinformation. We must ensure that readers can discern between the two. This calls for comprehensive regulation, transparency, and ethical standards within the journalism industry. Russia firmly believes in the future of journalism that harnesses AI for its potential benefits while preserving the integrity and authenticity of the news. It is essential to establish international standards that enable responsible AI usage in journalism. In conclusion, we are gathered here as a committee of nations to address the challenges that AI presents to journalism. Let us seize this opportunity to safeguard the core values of our democratic societies and ensure that journalism continues to flourish as the guardians of truth. Thank you, and I look forward to engaging in these fruitful discussions with all of the enlightened delegates present here.
Thank you, Delegate. Any points on the floor? Points of order or points of parliamentary inquiry? No. Any points of information? Yes. editor of Fox, followed by editor of Reuters. Everyone, please also recognize the presence of Secretary General Arman. Thank you, Arman. Moving on. Yes, for editor of Fox, you may speak.
Editor of Interfax, I would like to ask, you stated that we have to raise the international standard. Could you please elaborate a little bit more?
Sorry to interrupt, Aditya. There will be one more delegate joining. We have allocated him times.
Right. Okay.
Please note it down. Times. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I think there is one without portfolio. There's one delegate who joined without portfolio, right?
I'm not sure, sir. I think
Or
we
if
have...
anyone joins, he will join with times. Okay.
Right.
Just note it down.
Okay, sir. Okay. Noted, sir. Yes. Editor of Fox, you may speak.
Interfax News, I would like to ask, you said in your speech that we must raise international standards. Could you please elaborate a bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like what this meant is that journalists shall ensure that the dissemination of information or opinion does not contribute to hatred or prejudice, and shall do their utmost to avoid facilitating the spread of discrimination. Right. So I hope that clears your doubts.
Right. Thank you, delegate. Editor of Reuters, you may speak.
Yes, I would like to raise a point of information against Interfax News Agency. You mentioned raising international standards in your speech. Can you please elaborate on how you have contributed to raising these international standards, or what you propose to do to raise these international standards?
Yeah. So, Honorable Chair, can I provide this in written format in the chat?
Delegates as such chits are not allowed, but fine if you wish to answer that question. It's fine if you can't answer it, to be very honest. So
Yeah.
if you're sending it on the chat, then do so. But it should go through us. Moving on, delegate of ANI, you may speak.
Greetings to one and all. We're now living in a world where technology and data guide a large area of decisions in our lives. This means that every industry must adapt and embrace these technologies to become sustainable in the future. According to NI, South Asia's leading multimedia news agency with over 100 bureaus in India, South Asia and across the globe, AI for journalism has been a blessing for journalists. Although there is still a reliance on journalists and writers to come up with unique content and stories, with the assistance of AI, professional journalists can specifically focus on writing in-depth articles and content that require more expertise and concentration. By using various AI programs and software, news articles can be created within minutes. ANI believes that the use of AI for journalism saves journalists valuable time by transcribing audio and video files of interviews. Journalists can then focus on the key insights from the interview rather than spending time on transcribing the files. Journalists in the company are using AI to spot the latest trends, which helps them interpret the changes needed to be done to their content in the future by compiling, organizing, and coding large amount of data in no time. It also helps the journalists at work to conduct a meticulous examination of a large database to identify any misinformation or false information. The flags help to alert journalists about information falsehood and fake news. With almost 7 million people and over 1,000 ethnic groups and cultures, Southeast Asian countries have widely diverging rules governing censorship, misinformation, public content, and that would likely affect AI regulation. In order to maintain the accuracy and credibility of news, ANI uses AI responsibly and in conjunction with human journalists. Human journalists can provide the critical evaluation and verification that AI algorithms lack, ensuring that the news being reported is accurate and trustworthy. Additionally, it is transparent about the role that AI plays in reporting so that the audience can make informed decisions about the credibility of the content they are consuming. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate, if you may please turn on your camera. If you can.
Yes, I would have actually, there's some glitch due to which I've joined from the other device because there was a problem in the previous device. The mic wasn't working. So could you just give me 2 minutes to switch on the camera? I'll do so.
Sure, that's fine. But till then, we'll take the points of information. Or are there any other points on the floor, first of all? Fine. Are there any points of information on the floor? Delegates, if you don't ask for points of information, I won't mark you. And if you think that solely being marked on the basis of speech will get you enough, I won't allow it myself. So I would prefer if all of you could ask POIs and listen to the speeches of the delegates. Because it's not my job to ask you POIs, it's your job. Fine. Okay. Editor of Reuters, followed by editor of Bloomberg, followed by editor of Ichha Verma. Please rename yourself. Yes. You are what?
Washington.
Okay. Followed by Washington Post. Okay. Is the editor of ANI present? Or are they fixing their...
Yes.
Okay. Fine. That's good. Just one thing. I think Pranavi just told me there are new people in the meeting who were not there earlier. Can you please name yourselves, because I'm seeing many people in the chat list. If there are any delegates who are supposed to be speaking, but they weren't, their attendance wasn't taken. Are there any such delegates? I'm assuming not. Okay. Editor of Reuters, you may speak.
Yes. Delegate, you mentioned that ANI spans over all of Southeast Asia and covers large groups of ethnic majorities and minorities. Can you please elaborate on how the AI systems that you have incorporated in your news agency respect the customs and traditions of each of these ethnic groups?
Well, yes, they follow all the guidelines and done are necessary for human privacy. And could I just answer the question through the text, through the chat box?
I would prefer you answering it right now. Think about it. Think about it. I'm not saying that you have a timer on this, but you can think about it. But it's preferred that you speak.
Yeah, so it like follows the guidelines that are necessary for human privacy and for various cultures. It makes sure that it does not hurt anyone, hurt the feelings of any culture in society. So it keeps in mind all those points of views, and that is how, I mean, it follows all the guidelines that are there.
Okay. Editor of Bloomberg, you may speak.
Yes. In your speech, you emphasize the need of readers knowing who generated the story or the report. What steps has ANI taken to promote this?
Can you just repeat the question once again?
Yes, sure. In your speech, you emphasize the need of readers knowing who generated the story or the report. What steps has ANI taken to promote this?
Well, ANI has started working in conjunction with journalists, and yes.
Fine. Editor of Washington Post, please speak.
Yes, I would like to raise a point of information. So I would like to ask that accuracy of AI generated content is often doubted, and you also mentioned complete transparency with the readers. But several news sites like CNET had published a lot of articles that were actually written by AI where the readers were not informed about it. And this only came out due to some silly mistakes that were made by the computer. So have you taken any steps or would like to take any steps to ensure complete transparency with readers so AI is beneficial?
Yes, we would love to do so. We would love to take actions and steps to promote transparency so that in the future the people do not come across such problems once again.
Okay. To what point are you raising, Fox News?
The editor would like
I cannot hear
point
you.
of privilege.
Point of privilege.
Yes. The delegate would like to go and drink water.
Okay. Please do not ask me points of privilege for this. I beg of you. Please do not. Editor of ABC. I don't think we have recognized you, have we? ABC News
We
Australia.
haven't. We haven't. He was not there during the roll call.
Do you want to be recognized? I cannot hear you. I cannot. You are still not audible, no. But I'm assuming you want to be recognized, so we'll take you as an exception and we'll put you after Harti's. Is that fine? Till then, you can have your audio issue fixed. Next up, we have delegate of, sorry, editor of BBC. You may speak.
Yes. Can I have a countdown? So, okay. Please start the timer. Distinguished editors, we're here to talk about the future of AI in our industry. Many corporations faced a crossroad, initiate mass layoffs, cutting down costs for the company by a massive margin, but faced the massive controversy that came with it. Public opinion, forever engraving the company's name as an evil corporation, or turn a blind eye to the many opportunities AI offers in fear of controversy. The BBC managed to take a more hybrid route, allowing journalists to retain their jobs while also implementing AI technology in the workplace, helping our journalists with their workload. The BBC's news production is now much more efficient thanks to AI technology. Massive volumes of data can be sorted through by an automated algorithm, freeing up our journalists' time to concentrate on in-depth reporting and analysis. AI is used in our newsroom. AI is used for spot breaking news, verifying facts, adapting material to our user preferences on our websites. The accuracy, impartiality, and integrity standards are still very important to the BBC. We do not look past the many issues brought forth by AI and suggest the following methods to address these issues. By strengthening our editorial oversight, we have made sure that AI-generated material adheres to our core principles of accuracy, impartiality, and integrity. With our investment in ethical AI, the BBC spends more and more money every day on development of research on moral AI systems. We have educated the audience by promoting media literacy, which will support which will assist customers in differentiating fact from fiction. Finally, collaborating with
Delegate, I think that's enough. Thank you, delegate. Are there any points on the floor?
Yes. I would like to raise a point of information.
Delegate, you will have to raise your hand first for that. I think we have recognized Fox. I'll take delegate of Harthi's, followed by delegate of Washington Post, followed by interfax.
Shall I ask my point?
Yes, you may.
I wish to ask a point of information to the editor of BBC. In your speech, you mentioned that AI saves a lot of time by uh, helping the uh, helping the journalists analyze their speeches. But in a newsroom, there are specifically assigned data analysts which check the content of the
1 minute,
journalists.
delegate. I sorry to interrupt you, but can we all please recognize the presence of our the presence of respected Jyoti ma'am. We thank you, ma'am, for coming in our committee. Thank you so much, and I hope that you are elated by the debate happening in the committee.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Wish you all the best. Good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Shall I continue?
Yes, you may.
So do you not believe that uh, by the by making AI do the analyzing in this content made by journalists, this would cause the unemployment of the analysts that are present in the newsroom?
Okay. Okay, I'd like to answer. So we're basically here to say, as I've been saying in my speech, that AI is not something that replaces humans, but peacefully coexists with us for the coming future, serving us as a simple database tool. Basically, all the or everyone analyzing any kind of massive database needs some kind of help. It will take these data analysts nights and nights of work, staying up late to go through all of these databases, and all of this can be simply done by AI, while these data analysts can do other in-depth research pertaining to other topics.
Okay, delegate, sorry, editor of Washington Post.
Yes, I would like to raise a point of information. So in your speech, you mentioned that you would like to employ AI as well as retain jobs, but AI is suspected of eliminating jobs. So is there anything that BBC has done for the same? And secondly, you also mentioned ethical AI, but because AI lacks the human touch or human emotions, it often invades privacy and produces data which might lead to suits or defamation suits. So is there anything that BBC has done for the same?
Of course, of course. So firstly, as I mentioned earlier, AI is not here to replace jobs. It's here to help us. Following the breach of privacy that many are concerned about, just a second. Yeah. So we have put in robust data privacy regulations, which are in place. And through our website, the AI is not allowed to track any kind of personal data that the user is not agreeing upon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, delegate. Both of you may raise your hands down. Editor of Interfax, you may speak.
Yeah. So I would like to ask BBC that he mentioned a word evil corporation, right, in his speech. So what does that mean?
Okay, so the context here was that I was talking about initiating mass layoffs, which was something a few companies did, which cut down costs majorly for the company. But in the face of the public, they went down as an evil corporation, displacing people of their own jobs and replacing them with simple robots.
Yeah.
Thank you, delegate.
I would like to ask one more
Del
question.
No, I think he has answered it sufficiently well. Please keep your hand down. Uh, Now, delegate of UPI, you may speak.
Should I start?
Can we have the timer up for her? Yes. You may start, delegate.
Human or human-like. Today, I would like to talk about AI and journalism. We are well aware of the changing and more enhancing technology of the world. With these upcoming changes, integrating AI in journalism now seems more like a need than a choice. However, what about the risks of it? It is true that AI is helpful. It is a helpful tool. It increases our work efficiency. Massive volumes of data can be sorted through AI algorithms. And however, it does have few drawbacks. It violates multiple ethical legal considerations such as human biases, fake news, privacy, etc. It is necessary to address these issues in order to secure the future of journalism. Few solutions proposed by UPI are as follows. To counter a commonly faced issue of human bias, human verification of the data must be done at all times. That is, a human personnel can be appointed to go through the data collected and verify that no controversial, biased, or false information is given out. An ethics review board can be established within media organizations to assess the ethical implications of the AI in reporting. We can provide journalists with training and legal implications of AI-generated content, including copyright, defamation, property rights, etc. The future of journalism focuses on informing and educating the society. With integrating the technological changes, we must not lose faith of our audiences. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. And please recognize the presence of our Director General, Samarth Bhargav. Thank you, Samarth. Any points on the floor? Delegates, do I ask you the question? Because I would like to see some hands raised. There are no other delegates who wish to raise a POI. Delegates, then the ones who are raising their hands, I'll have to mark them, and then it's you who will be left behind in marking. So I insist that if you have any POIs, please raise them right now. Fine. Delegate of BBC, followed by delegate of Bloomberg, followed by delegate of Hartis.
Right. Maybe.
Yes, you may.
So all your stances were quite hypothetical. What has UPI done that incorporates some of these stances?
UPI is still in the mode of taking in AI, and there are, like I said in my speech, there are a lot of drawbacks. So UPI is still contemplating on how to take in all these factors, simultaneously reducing the drawbacks of AI.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate of Bloomberg, you may speak.
Yes. So in your speech, you said fake news is a drawback in AI when we are talking about AI industry. So who should be considered accountable for spreading fake news in UPI's opinion? Either it should be the human who is operating or only the AI.
Just before that, please recognize the presence of Mrs. Aarti Chopra, ma'am, the principal of Amity 46. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing us with your presence. Okay, delegate, you may answer.
Please continue. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Delegate, you may continue.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So in your speech, you said fake news is a drawback when we talk about AI industry and journalism. Now, who should be considered accountable or guilty for spreading the fake news? Either it should be the human who's operating the AI or only the AI should be considered guilty.
In UPI's opinion, fake news is a very important problem and a factor that should be taken under consideration. And while talking about accountability, of course, the human which is supposed to verify the facts of the collected by the AI should be held responsible, because it doesn't matter how well our algorithms are. There can be a chance of human bias if it is not updated continuously. That is why I even mentioned in my speech ethics review board, which would also be which would be held accountable if there is a case of fake news.
I think it's a bit tedious for me to keep asking you all to speak. So once a delegate is finished, start with your own POI by telling your name first, introducing yourself, and then continue. We need to save time here. Editor of Harthis, you may speak.
Yes. So, in your speech, you said that an ethics board should be put to assess the content generated by AI. But don't you think that it would be more convenient um, to promote and invest in the making of ethical AI, so that the AI can only assess if its content is ethical or not, pertaining to the basic human ethics that are to be followed?
Basic human ethics, like you said, they vary from person to person, and even more than that, the algorithm, if not updated on time, can still have human biases. It doesn't matter how perfect the algorithm is right now on point. Moving on with the future changes and decisions made around the world, that news that is collected can be either fake or have some sort of human biases. So investing in an ethical review board is just a method of getting the news quickly through AI, but simultaneously checking if it is correct and if it is okay to be published.
Thank you.
To what point do you raise your hand, delegate of Deutsch?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Can you please send the list of GSL in the main WhatsApp group or the chat?
Okay.
Like the order. I just wanted to see the order.
Right. Okay. I'll send it. I'll send it on. Okay. Next up, we have the editor of Bloomberg.
All right.
Can we have the timer for him?
Just as a coin has two sides, so does technology. It has both pros and cons. For instance, today's advanced artificial systems can replicate a person's voice with just 20 to 30 words spoken by the individual. Now, of course, it will lead to formation of fakes and frauds, just like the Michael Schumacher incident. Michael Schumacher, a German F1 racing driver, due to some accident, is in hospital for a long time. However, he recently gave an interview in a German magazine. It was later found that the interview was a fake one, as it was not him, but a bot that had given the interview. However, the technology is also being used for a good cause. The same artificial intelligence system is also being used to give voice to those who have lost their voices, especially those affected by the disease of ALS. Just as a patient who lost his ability to speak, but the AI used by the company called VoiceKeeper helped him preserve his voice by recreating his speech. To conclude, Bloomberg believes that AI is a very powerful tool. It is an amazing step in the field of journalism. It's just about the responsibility. I have observed that it has become a natural trend in human minds to misuse power. Henceforth, information should be checked if fake or real, and journalists should know about the data they are feeding and where does it come from. If these problems are tackled, both humans and artificial humans together can make the world a better place, that be in the field of journalism or any other.
Thank you, delegate. Any points of information on the floor? Okay. So, editor of UPI, followed by editor of Genua, followed by editor of Deutsch. Edit.
One point of information is that how is the delegate of Bloomberg planning to gather the fundings for all the solutions mentioned in his speech?
Right. So at Bloomberg, like these problems, they are not very common. They are not very commonly faced. However, as we are approaching towards a field where AI is integrated in journalism, we are trying, and we will raise funds for these solutions that would effectively help us in spreading information.
Next, the editor of Genua.
Yes, my question to Bloomberg is that have they implemented AI regulations on their content?
Right. So AI in Bloomberg has sped up the process of information extraction. However, we recognize that there should be some implementations to regulate if the AI does not go out of control. And for that, we have appointed more than 200 ML and DL officers who are constantly looking into our AI programs.
My POI to editor of Bloomberg is that how does Bloomberg maintain reader trust and engagement by using AI generated content in its journalism?
Could you repeat your question?
My POI to Bloomberg is that how does Bloomberg maintain reader trust and engagement while using AI generated content in its journalism?
All right. The AI generated content that AI and humans work as a team in at Bloomberg, so that AI augments them by giving them right information. We also are constantly working towards letting the reader know which part of the information is written by a writer or is generated synthetically.
Also, delegates, before asking the POI, please make sure that you introduce yourselves.
Right to reply to Bloomberg.
Raise it. Specify.
Sorry, can you please repeat it?
On what point? Right to reply.
Right to reply on Bloomberg statement.
Which statement?
Right to reply on Bloomberg's answer to my POI. I just want to follow up.
Actually, you want to follow up?
Yeah, exactly.
Denied. Next up, we have, I think you were the last PY. So next up, we have PTI.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, delegate. You may speak. The timer. Yes.
Yes. AI holds significant promise in shaping the future of journalism. It can streamline data analysis, automate routine tasks, and personalize content for readers. This technology has the potential to enhance efficiency and expand the reach of news organizations. However, ethical and practical concerns such as bias and algorithms and the impact on job security and accuracy need careful consideration. The future of journalism will likely involve a delicate balance where AI complements the work of journalists, where they continue to provide human perspective, which is very vital, and critical thinking and investigative skills that underpin high quality reporting. AI in journalism should be employed to streamline data analysis, automate repetitive tasks, and personalize content, aid fact checking, and enhance data visualization. I believe that it should, instead of it being humans versus machine, it should be humans working alongside machines to for the betterment of future of journalism. And yes, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any points of information? I'm seeing the same hands. Okay. Okay. Fine. Delegate of Associated. Okay. Editor of Associated Press, followed by editor of Al Jazeera, followed by ANI.
So I'm the delegate of Associated Press. I would like to raise a question that in your committee 60% jobs are declined due to the AI. Why?
Delegate. I think we are having some internet issues. Delegate, are your internet issues sorted? You're on mute.
Could you please repeat the question?
My question is that the 60% of jobs in your committee have been declined. Why? Due to AI.
It's because of it's because that AI is not as developed to give accurate reportings, like the humans can, and it's mostly due to that. It's still not developed enough to curate accurate articles or gather information.
Next, Al Jazeera.
I would like to raise a point of information, and that is PTI has been criticized for slow adoption and adaptation to digital media platforms, and it is perceived that PTI may not be as technologically advanced. So how do you want to proceed to incorporate AI with your media organization?
AI sees to it that there's a balance between AI and also ethical journalism. And instead of replacing journalists with AI, we work with AI and use it for repetitive tasks such as sorry, give me a second. For data visualization and summarization, things such as that. But in the end, it does need human oversight, and yes.
Thank you, Delegate. You may go have some water if you wish to. I think you might be sick. Moving on to the next question by ANI.
I would like to raise a point of information. My question is that you said that humans shall work alongside machines. So what are the measures that you've taken to ensure this?
Could you please repeat your question? Your voice is a bit low.
I said you mentioned in your speech that humans shall work alongside machines. So what are the measures that you've taken to ensure this?
Delegate, you do not need to answer it because I feel it's a repetition of the previous question itself. I'll take one more point of information or two more points of information because what was said by the Associated Press was also a repetition. I'll take Reuters followed by Fox.
Yes, so I would like to raise the point of information against PTI. You mentioned that AI is only for data analysis as of now, but seeing the rapid and recent development of AI, what are your measures to proceed ahead when AI develops to such a capacity that its abilities in content creation can be rivaled by that of humans?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. So
You can take your time, don't worry.
could you please repeat the question?
Okay, so basically what I'm trying to ask is that you're saying that AI is only good for data analysis right now, but as seeing the rapid development of AI in the past years, when it develops to such a point that it is able to create and come to conclusions from analyzing data that humans can do, how do you propose that AI and humans in such a newsroom will coexist?
So, while I think that humans, like the creativity, like the human touch is very much needed, and I don't believe that it can be provided the same by AI. And if we ever do come to that point in future, I don't believe that humans will you know, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm not sure how to answer.
Delegate of Fox, you may speak. The rest will raise their they'll keep their hands down.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The editor of Fox News would like to question the editor of PTI. You've mentioned that AI could be used for repetitive tasks. Could you please elaborate on what repetitive tasks they are?
It can repetitive tasks such as summarization, or if there's a certain topic that needs elaboration, that can be done by AI. And yes, I can be used for that.
Honorable Chair, can the delegate raise for a point of follow-up?
No, I think it's fine. It's fine. Some advice for the delegates. First, do not ask the same questions because I've seen that pattern happening now. Everyone is asking, what has your news organization done? It's a very generic question, and I'll guarantee you I'll mark it in a low manner. So please frame your questions because I should see your research reflect in your questions. And if I don't see that happening, then you can't expect marks either. Second of all, when you ask for follow-ups, I'll only give them if I feel the delegate hasn't answered your question adequately. And your question would not change when you are asking the follow-up. So keep that in mind. I want more of you to speak, but it seems that many of you do not have the sort of research one would hope for, which is why many of you might not also be having doubts when I ask for them. So moving on from this, we'll have, how much time have we spent?
We have another
3:12 right
20
now.
minutes of the conference left. Yes, another 20.
Then I'd say, how much time do we have left till lunch break? We have a break, right, in between.
Yeah, we have a 15-minute break, so that's at 3:25. So we have 20 minutes. Sorry, 3:35.
Okay. So we'll take only 2 POIs per speech from now on because I expect to finish the GSL before we have the break so that all of you can use the break if you wish to for lobbying on this. We'll give you a breakout room for that. Do not worry. Now next up, delegate of Jinhua.
Greetings, everyone present. AI generated content has played a growing role in shaping news content globally. It is imperative to establish common ethical and professional guidelines. Various efforts can ensure that AI driven journalism adheres to the principles of accuracy, fairness, and transparency. Xinhua, as a global news agency, shows a strong interest in the integration of artificial intelligence in journalism and is conscious of its impact on the media landscape. From marking the initial exploration of AI's potential in journalism to developing the world's first AI presenter, we advocate not only for the development but also promotion of artificial intelligence in the journalistic field. Let us heed to Isaac Asimov's wisdom. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. It is our responsibility to wield AI generated content with wisdom, ensuring that it serves truth, transparency, and for the greater good. Additionally, global initiatives such as Journalism AI can be joined to explore the opportunities offered by AI-powered technologies and to foster debate about the editorial, ethical, and implications and financial implications of using AI in journalism.
Right. Thank you, delegate. Do we have any points on the floor? Delegate of UPI, followed by delegate of BBC.
I would like to ask the delegate of Geneva, with the integration of AI in your journalism, how do you plan to manage the potential loss of trust of readers who may be skeptical of AI generated content?
For the loss of trust, well, we have certain programs and initiatives that we will be developing to ensure that even though the people who are skeptical of AI generated content would at least give it a chance and look at the positive and the bright side of it.
Delegate of BBC.
Right, sorry. So my question is, you said you're promoting AI integration in your articles and such, but how exactly are you promoting it?
We have from the initial start, we have been working with analysts and programmers to develop algorithms that will that promote AI content. And in the past, we also have in the newsrooms some news reporters, AI news presenters who are not only fluent in one language, but various others.
Right. Thank you, delegate. No other points. Moving on, we'll have delegate of Fox.
With the prior permission of the chair, the editor of Fox would like to contribute to the GSL. May the delegate proceed.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, sir. Greetings to all the editors. The new technological era has taken everyone by the storm, and AI has hit the jackpot. AI has become involved in various aspects of the field, from content creation and personalization to distribution. It can rapidly generate news reports, produce data driven articles, and even create captivating headlines. While AI can serve as a valuable tool, it is a double edged sword. One concern is the potential for bias in algorithms. It is crucial to ensure that AI in journalism is programmed and monitored regularly to tone down risks. At Fox News, artificial intelligence newsletters are posted and delivered twice a week, It believes harnessing human expertise and AI for a better world of journalism while upholding credibility, accuracy, and responsible reporting is required. It believes the government needs to set laws on the moral usage of AI as well as set penalties for unethical usages. As technology advances, media outlets must adapt and ensure that AI serves as a valuable tool in the pursuit of truthful, insightful, and impactful journalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any points of information on the floor? I'll recognize editor of Washington Post, followed by editor of editor of Deutsche Welle.
I'm the editor of Washington Post, and I would like to raise a POI. There was one of the articles published by Fox News where a robot wrote an article for why AI shouldn't be used in journalism, and several incidents were cited in which websites were launched to write fake news. And you are supporting AI in your speech, as you mentioned. So how would you how would you counter this article published by your press?
As mentioned in my speech, may the editor of
You
Fox
may,
News.
you may.
Thank you, sir. As mentioned in the speech, Fox News would like the government to set laws on the moral usage of AI. We believe that only when penalties are set, the unethical use of AI can be stopped.
Okay.
Yes,
yes, you may.
I would like to raise a POI to delegate to editor of Fox. So in your speech in JSL, you mentioned that there has to be some laws that has to be set. Okay, so can you please specify that part? And what kind of laws are you mentioning here?
May the editor proceed?
Yes, you
Thank you,
may.
sir. While I mentioned laws, I meant to say as in a few ground rules to be followed, such as for example, like many others said, perhaps we could keep a board or an ethics review board where all articles are seen by a panelist so that fake news and deep fakes aren't spread.
Thank you, Delegate. Moving on, we have Delegate of Deutsche Welle.
Yes, sir. Shall I start?
The timer. Yes. And start.
AI in journalism is not about replacing journalists, but about enhancing their capabilities and helping them tell more compelling stories. Greetings to distinguished delegates and respected AV. As we all are aware, artificial intelligence has had a significant impact on how people live today. The workflow in the newsroom, data analysis, and most significantly, journalist content creation are some of the main focuses of AI agencies. Additionally, we must acknowledge the importance of accuracy and validity of human editorial judgment. It must protect objectivity, an essential part played in real journalists in preserving the truth and encouraging ethical reporting. Deutsche Welle provides and produces content made for mind for audiences worldwide. When we talk about AI in DW, the channel has already made its reach in artificial intelligence. Transparency is one of the main important pillars that keeps DW alive. Therefore, DW is firmly committed to journalism that is produced by people. We do not see generative AI as a means to replace work done by our journalists or editors. Being an international broadcaster, we provide impartial news and information, providing people worldwide to the opportunity to form their own opinions so that they could participate as active citizens. But being a part of the race in technology, DW is still keen to investigate how AI tools can support our journalism.
We already use AI-based tools to aid our journalists in our work, and we will look for ways to build on these advances. Still, journalists will continue to control all the applications and thoroughly review anything before publication. We always have been and will be open and transparent about the ways in AI is used. Thank you.
Yes. Points of information. Okay, I'll have to go through the recognition. Editor of Fox News, followed by editor of UPI.
The editor of Fox News would like to question the editor of DW. You mentioned that DW already uses AI-based tools, but you also mentioned you encourage ethical reporting. Could you please explain how DW is already functioning?
So first of all, I would like to explain my stance upon this. DW does, just a second. Yes, DW already uses AI-based tools that as I said in my speech, and we emphasize on the need of transparency of public awareness about use of AI in journalism, but we also acknowledge that AI can help process and analyze vast amounts of data that we should rely on. Also, in my speech, as I said that we provide content that is made for mind, and our aim, our brand core is unbiased information for free minds. So answering your question, I would say that we have always been open and transparent about ways in which AI has used, and being an international broadcaster, we always prefer, just a second, give me a moment.
It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah, I would like to continue.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So I just wanted to clear this out that my stance on DW is that when we talk about DW in AI, we have also involved artificial intelligence, but we do not support that AI will replace the jobs of the journalists or editors. That's it.
Fine, thank you. Editor of UPI.
I would like to ask the delegate of DW, how do you plan to ensure that AI doesn't lead to the reduction in diversity of voices and perspectives of in your reporting?
Yes, so first of all, training and data sources helps us ensuring that AI models are trained on diverse, reliable, and reputable sources, etc. And another thing is that we also encourage user feedback, and we will be encouraging user feedback too in our future initiatives. It will help if we will get the feedback from the audiences, and it will help us improve the AI generated content and maintain ethical standards.
Thank you, delegate. Pranavi, I hope you have noted her verbatim for UPI because I was not able to.
I have.
Okay. Yes. So delegates, pardon me, but the secretariat has informed me that I was supposed to share the marking criteria with you, all of you as well. I'm sorry, it must have slipped off my mind, but I'll specify it now so that all of you can keep it in mind and form your speeches thereafter. So I'll just explain it. I can't show you the marking sheet now because we have started marking on it. So we have two main divisions, which is activity and action. Okay, so under act, all of you can note this if you want. Okay, So under activity, we'll keep your speeches in that section and we'll mark them accordingly. The verbatim will also be mentioned in that section. It will have the GSLs, the mods, and even your unmod will be marked. So I insist that you use proper language during unmod sessions. Do not argue or pester with each other, because then there will be consequences for whatever action you take. Then coming on to the second division, it will have the research criteria, journalism ethics, logical analysis, documentation, and diplomacy. So all of them would be out of 10. Only documentation and unmod would be out of 5. So my purpose of telling you this marking criteria is so that you can formulate your speeches in that manner and you know what sort of criteria we're expecting. Now, as for your POIs, although we are marking them individually, the people who are asking the POIs will be marked under a POI section. And those who are replying to that sort of a POI, their marks will be distributed in their GSL and research accordingly by us. If we feel that your response was adequate or even better, then your marks in your GSL and research will fluctuate accordingly. But those who are under POIs, you will separate section will be created for it, and then we'll add up your marks and it will come on to the activities action section. So moving on from that, and please pardon me for not, I should have told this to you in the beginning of the committee, but I wanted to go on with the proceedings. That's why it slipped my mind. But next up, we have the editor of Washington Post.
Yes. Shall I start?
Yes, you may.
In an age where information flows faster than ever before, we have seen a rapid growth of AI in the ever expanding world of journalism. Even media organizations and bloggers use AI content, where algorithms can create content on a large scale, personalizing it to the needs of an individual reader quicker, cheaper, and potentially with fewer errors than human journalists. Primarily, AI equips journalists with unparalleled efficiency. By automating routine tasks such as data analysis, it liberates our time, allowing us to focus on investigative reporting and storytelling that can inspire change. Imagine a world where journalists can have more time to dive deep into stories, bringing light the hidden truths and giving a voice to the voiceless. Even the World Editors Forum listed automated journalism as a top 2015 newsroom trend. As mentioned by the other delegates, AI may lead to elimination of newsroom jobs. This, however, is not entirely true. AI can only be afforded by big organizations, and the smaller newsroom will always be dependent on human effort. Moreover, while AI can aid in various tasks, it cannot fully replicate the creativity, intuition, and ethical judgment of human journalists, and thus AI will never be able to eliminate human journalists. Even the Post has its in-house automated storytelling technology, Heliograph. When we say that ensuring accuracy, quality, and reliability of automated data is a challenge, what we forget is that it takes years to produce a sophisticated algorithm that allows us to combine these different sources so that it can write highly personalized stories for the benefit of journalists and readers alike. As mentioned by Dr. Sam, Director of Data Science at the Post. AI does have its challenges, and in the short life, as machine generators of news stories, artificial intelligence
Delegate,
programs.
I think yes, that's enough. Thank you, delegate, for that speech. Any points of information on the floor? Okay. Editor of Bloomberg, followed by editor of Haaretz.
All right. In your speech, you said that AI would never replace journalists, and also AI equips journalists with various advantages. However, the AI machine called Heliograph used at Washington Post has already started to decrease jobs. How would you like to comment on this?
Well, AI machinery heliograph was used for for writing smaller content. Like in the 2016 elections, it wrote 850 articles, which only got 500,000 readers, which, as compared to human journalists, is less. But so for the efficiency and faster generation of documents, we do use AI. But it, as I said in my speech, it can never actually replace humans because it can never fully replicate the creativity, intuition, and ethical judgment of human journalists.
Uh, e- Editor of Haaretz.
Um, Editor of Washington Post, in your speech, you said that AI has the ability to to write portion of your speech. You said that it would take a lot of time to develop such a technology that would cater to the needs of the as per all the readers and as per the situation of the newsrooms. How would you like to reply to this?
Delegate, I think you're having certain internet issues, if I'm not wrong.
Am I audible now?
You are, but your voice is cracking in between.
I will refresh. I will change my network after asking this.
If you want, you can type it down, and
Yeah,
delegate, you can type your
I can
response down.
respond in the chat box. Yeah.
Yes, but please have your internet issues fixed, because we would rather have discussions via speech. Okay. I think we are supposed to go on break now. Aruna ma'am, Tanya Kapoor ma'am, is it? Are we
Yes,
supposed to?
we'll have a 15-minute break as per
Okay.
your.
So the GSL session is suspended for now. After that, we'll finish the session with 5 more speakers, and we'll move on with an unmod if you all wish to.
Aditya, we also have a guest speaker in the next session at 4:30.
Noted, ma'am. Noted. Okay, everyone, the debate is for now suspended. You all may have a break, go have some lunch or snacks if you wish to. Okay, Pranavi, can you please call me till then?
Right. Yes.
Delegate, please be back by 3:50 for the session.
Please adhere to what ma'am said. I'm waiting for all delegates to join back soon, and we'll resume with the committee session then. Delegates, please start turning on your cameras once you have started coming back. I need you all to come back by 4 max. Pranavi,
Yes.
can you resume the session? I'll come in a few minutes. Could you resume the session till then?
Right,
We
yes,
have Al Jazeera next.
yes, I'll do that.
Mhm.
Delegates, let's switch our cameras back on and get right back on track. We have the speaker of Al Jazeera next for their GSL. Al Jazeera, are you present?
Yes, present.
Right, just give me a minute to share the time. Right, delegate, on the count of 3, 2, 1.
In the ever-evolving landscape of journalism, AI-generated content stands as both a beacon for innovation and a challenge to tradition. Thomas Jefferson said, "In a free society, the press must be a watchdog, not a lapdog." But what happens when the watchdog is a digital creation? AI technologies are not yet capable of fully replicating the creativity, critical thinking, and human judgment required in journalism. Journalists play a vital role in validating information, conducting interviews, and providing insights that AI algorithms can't. But this must be supported with proper ethical reporting standards issued by collaboration between media organizations. Al Jazeera advocates for the following solutions: establishing industry-wide ethical guidelines for using AI in journalism, periodic auditing of AI algorithms for bias and accuracy. Independent organizations can conduct audits to ensure fairness and reliability, and implementation of systems for AI-generated content licensing and attribution, ensuring creators are credited appropriately. Thank you.
Right, I will now be recognizing POIs for all those who wish to raise a POI for the delegate of Al Jazeera. Raise your hands, please. Recognizing Fox News and Associate Press. Fox News, please go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Editor, you had mentioned we should, Al Jazeera should thinks that bringing in guidelines is important. Could you give us an example of one of your guidelines?
Al Jazeera currently has a code of ethics which is strict and is implemented for all journalists. But what I was talking about was establishing guidelines for the future to help the integration of AI with journalism. And that was that these guidelines should cover issues such as disclosure of AI generated content, attribution, and potential biases, so that readers are fully informed of what they are reading.
Thank you. Yes, Associate Press.
So I'm the delegate of Associated Press. So I had a question that that in your committee, someone means Khalid Diab has said that as journalist starts being replaced with artificial intelligence tools, the profession once again find itself at a turning point. What do you mean by turning point here? Means, can you elaborate?
Your statement, please.
Um, as per of Khalid, according to Khalid Diab, as journalists started being replaced with artificial intelligence tools, the provision once again find itself at a turning point. So can you elaborate in this?
Yes, of course. By turning point, Al Jazeera means that integration of AI with journalism can provide efficiency, productivity, and free up space for creativity of the journalists. Of course, we stand by coexisting man and AI. That's what we mean by turning point. Thank you.
Right, delegates. The next speaker, just give me a second. The next speaker for the GSL is the delegate of Associate Press. Are you ready?
Yes.
I will be
So
sharing
I am the delegate of Associated Press. I would like to I would like to give my speech that the generative AI has the ability to create text, image, audio, video on command, but isn't yet fully capable of distinguishing between facts and frictions. As a result, AP said, the Association Press said, material produced by artificial intelligence should be weighted carefully, just like materials from any other news source. Similarly, Association Press said that said a photo, or video, or a audio segment generated by AI should not be used unless the altered material is itself the subject of a story. That's in a line with the tech magazine Wired, which said that it does not publish stories generated by AI, except when the fact that is AI generated, it's the point of the whole story. Highly public guy's case of AI generated hallucinations of made up facts make it important that the consumer know that the standards are placed to make sure the content they are reading, watching, listening to be verified, credible and as fair as possible. Pointers said in an editorial. News organizations have outlined ways of generating AI can be useful short of publishing it. It can help.
Delegate, you may just finish your last sentence.
Okay, it can help the editors at AP, for example, putting together, digest the stories in the works that are sent to the subscribers. Sorry.
Thank you, delegate. Now taking POIs, I'll be recognizing Bloomberg. I think that is it. Bloomberg, you may go ahead with your POI, please.
Yes, so Association Press said that it is important for journalists for readers to know the source, and it should be verified, and the information should be labeled by how it was produced. So how has what steps has Associated Press taken to address this matter?
So, can you repeat the question again? I
Sure.
couldn't.
So, you stress in your speech, you stressed on how, like readers should know where the content is coming from, and the data and the story should be labeled if they are synthetically produced or in other ways. So, how what steps have you taken to ensure this how to work in this matter?
So first, we have a, can I explain in a EV or that, or I can't explain like that? Can I?
That is okay, delegate. You either can take 2 minutes or you may answer the delegate in later speeches.
In later speeches, can I answer? Because
Right. Yes, that's totally okay. We have the next GSL speaker, that is the New York Times. Is the delegate present?
Yes.
Just wait a second, delegate. I will be sharing the time. Delegate, you may start.
AI is rapidly changing the landscape of journalism and has benefited journalists in many ways. AI is helping journalists to find and analyze large data sets, to write and edit articles, and to fact check them. But there must be some key ethical considerations for journalists using AI, such as transparency, accountability, and fairness. Overall, AI has the potential to make journalism better than ever before. Here are some specific measures that journalists and news organizations can take to use AI responsibly, setting a standard ethical guidelines for the use of AI in journalism, and investing in AI education and training for journalists so they can realize where it can be used and where it should be credited to. Therefore, I believe that AI has the potential to make journalism better than ever before. However, human journalists are still needed to tell stories, investigate issues, and analyze information.
Thank you, delegate. Can I see you on screen? Is your camera on?
My camera is on.
Just a second. Yes, do we have any POIs for the delegate of New York Times? You may raise hands. I can't see his hands. Okay, I can now.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Let's recognize the speakers. We'll have delegate of Washington Post followed by delegate of Reuters.
Yes, I'm the delegate of Washington Post. So I would like to ask that in its short life, artificial intelligence programs have screwed up simple interest calculation and even watched the chronology of Star Wars movies. And moreover, so how would you like to justify this when you are promoting AI in journalism?
So basically, we are not just having AI in journalism, we're also having human writers alongside it. So NYD has a team that checks like AI regulations and everything. Like they go over the content before posting it. So there's less chance of having like wrong facts or wrong calculations and stuff because everything is checked.
Okay. Editor of Reuters.
Yes, Delegate, you mentioned in your speech that AI has the capacity to better journalism. Then, can you propose, do you have any plans of action in mind, how AI in your newsrooms can empower specially able journalists?
Give me 1 sec, sorry. And in a way, I guess they can. Like journalists who have trouble. Can I maybe answer this at later? Because I don't have.
You can take your time right now and say it verbally.
All right.
Take your time. Think about it. By the way, your camera isn't visible. So if you can, please have that fixed as well.
I'll try.
It's fine if you're not able to answer it. You won't be negatively marked for that.
I don't have an answer for this. Sorry.
It's fine. Everyone, please recognize the presence of the Secretary General, Arman Kumar. Thank you, Arman, for coming over here. So, whom do we have next? After New York Times, we have Haaretz. You may speak.
Let's take the time. Should I start?
Yes.
While AI has undoubtedly brought advancements in efficiency to various industries, it has also posed challenges within the field of journalism. One of the main concerns is the potential loss of human judgment and intuition in news reporting. AI algorithms, though capable of processing vast amounts of data, lack the ability to comprehend the nuances of human emotions and contexts. This can result in biased or inaccurate reporting, jeopardizing the credibility and trustworthiness of news outlets. Furthermore, the automation of journalism jobs due to AI can lead to unemployment and a depletion of the diversity in news reporting. As said by Stephen Hawking in an interview with BBC, very basic forms of AI had already proven powerful, but creating systems that rival human intelligence or surpass it could be disastrous for the human race. Therefore, it is extremely crucial to strike a balance between the benefits of AI and the preservation of human intelligence in journalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any points on the floor? Delegate of Bloomberg followed by Delegate of Interfax.
All right. So in your speech, you said that AI and generative AI leads to decreasing of jobs and something like that. So, but AI also in various sectors is is increasing jobs. For example, the ML and DL experts, they are also getting hired because the companies are using AI at a very higher extent. So how would you like to comment on this?
as stated by speeches from previous editors, in various news agencies, journalism has led to the decrease of workers in the newsrooms and has led to lots of unemployment in the field of journalism.
Okay. Delegate of Interfax.
Yeah, I would like to ask a POI. So, can you elaborate your very stance with respect to your speech, your stance on the topic?
So Haaretz is a news agency that that does not that does not promote the complete use of AI in journalism. Haaretz itself in the newsroom uses AI to a bare minimal capacity, so that AI can only help the the journalists, and AI is prominently used only where journalists are facing a problem, or when journalists need help in writing their newsletters.
Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, Delegate. We only have one more speaker left, and then the Secretariat can take their feedback session. Do we have ABC News Australia over here? ABC News Australia. I can see he's present in the committee. Delegate of ABC News Australia. Fine. Considering that he's not responding, the GSL is now over. We have exhausted, the list has been exhausted. And we can have the GSL later on as well. But for now, the Secretariat will be taking your feedback session, and then we'll have the speaker, Mr. Iyengar sir, today, who is a very learned man. So I hope all of you can at least ask him questions if you can't ask them in the committee itself. Okay, please do not ask any sort of questions such as what was your stance, or what do you think AI should do. So if Arman, you could take the feedback, Pranavi and I will leave the meeting.
I'll be taking the feedback for this committee. Pranavi, Aditya, I would request you to join back at 4:30 precisely. All right? Thank you so much. You can leave.
Thank you.
All right. So, hi, delegates. First, please tell me if you're enjoying. All right, delegates, please recognize the presence of Jyoti ma'am in the committee. She's Director AARC, who has organized the platform for us. Ma'am, we were just in the middle of a feedback session right now.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Arman. Thank you so much. I hope
Namaste,
you all
Jyoti
are
ma'am.
enjoying the session. Please continue with the feedback. Very
Namaste, Jyoti
soon.
ma'am.
Namaskar.
Good evening, ma'am.
Namaskar. Good evening. Good evening. Very soon, we are going to be joined by our special speaker who's going to join us from Washington, Mr.
Yes,
Rishi Iyengar. Okay.
Yes.
So, wish you all the best for that. Ask a lot of questions. Okay.
Right, right. All right,
Thank you.
delegates. Firstly, let me know if you guys are facing any issues within the committee, any sort of feedback, negative feedback if you have. First, let us get done with that, and then we'll move to the positive feedback. Any recognition issues that you might be facing, anything with other delegates, perhaps, anything that you have faced within the committee till now? Any inconvenience, anything that has made you uncomfortable, anything that you want improved tomorrow onwards, anything like that? You can raise your hands and we'll recognize you. None? Okay, we'll take some positive feedback then. Any of you would like to say something about anything that you liked within the committee, about the EB's proceedings? You can raise your hands. Anyone would like to say anything? You guys are all representing press agencies, right? So I'm assuming that you would want to speak a lot. Okay, we have one. Fox News. Yes, tell us.
Thank you, Secretary General. I think it is a really good experience. It is my first time doing an MUN, and so far I faced no issues. So I really enjoyed the session for now. The chair and the co-vice chair were really kind. They finished the session way faster than I expected to, and I enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. That reminds me. The foreign delegates present in the committee. Would you like to share anything that you wish improve tomorrow, next day onwards? Anything that you might want to share? Delegates, anyone? All right, first timers, anything that you would want to improve next day onwards? Anywhere you felt that the EB was not clear in the proceedings, anything of that sorts? Okay, I see all of you nodding in a no. So I'm assuming that everything has been clarified to you precisely, right? Okay. I would also recommend all of you to please keep your cameras turned on, right, within the session that will now be happening with Mr. Rishi Iyengar. It's good to interact with him. That will help you as well. Okay. Okay, I see 100. Josh, yeah. Lavanya, please tell me.
I just had this doubt since being a first timer, I really
Right.
didn't had any idea about how things are going to proceed. All I got to know was from our teacher in charges from our school. I just wanted to add that we could have had a meeting before, an informal meeting, probably on Google Meet, to just let us know about how the committee will proceed and everything. We did had the background guide, but I would just prefer that the EV would have interacted with us before the
All right.
committee
All right.
session.
Delegate, I would like to ask you, have you received the delegate handbook?
Yes, I have.
The delegate handbook has a very detailed rules of procedure guide at its end. So
yeah, I did read that, but I just wanted that the EV would personally interact with us in a meeting, in an informal meeting.
All right,
before
all
the
right.
committee.
That we will keep in mind. That we will keep in mind. Thank you so much. Anything else that the first timers would like to share? Anything?
It's a very good suggestion, actually, Arman.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So we can have a meeting, a very short meeting, even if it's for 10-15 minutes, everybody can join in, just meet each other informally. That will break the ice.
Before they start the committee.
Yeah. Thank you, Lavanya. We'll take note of this next time.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else that someone would like to share? Nothing by now? Okay. So it's 4:21. I believe your EB would be back by now. EB members, are you here? Okay, I'll just let
Yes,
them know.
you call them. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can call
just
them.
let them know. Just let them know.
Yeah.
Right, ma'am. They're just joining. All right, the chairperson is here. Okay. Aditya, I hope
Yeah.
you have the profile of Mr. Rishi Iyengar with you.
Yeah, you had messaged that to me. I have to read that, right?
Right. Once he arrives, please introduce him to the committee and then you can read his profile. All right?
Yes. Thank you.
I see Pranavi has also returned. All right. The EB can continue with the session until the speaker arrives. Right? All right.
Thank you, Arman. So if I think the speaker will arrive in a few minutes, so there's no point in us doing another session voting for that matter. So I'd give my feedback to the committee right now. What I observed personally was that many of the delegates were asking the same sort of questions along the lines of what do you think we should do? How has your organization used AI in this manner? Or how are ethics related to AI? These sort of questions were very common amongst the committee. And I would advise you all that from tomorrow onwards, have more research with you because your POIs reflect the quality of your research as well. And we would like all of you to be more participative because I'm having a few group of a small group of delegates asking POIs continuously, and it's difficult for me as well to give them recognition. So I ask all of you to improve the quality of your research. Okay, I have told you the marking criteria. You are all aware of it, and I hope you can prepare along those lines. A bit of more advice for the committee. Uh, when you feel as if you do not have a lot of content to speak, you should go into specifics of certain things. For example, if you're giving me the solution of your problem, I would love to hear you to go into the specifics, explain me the technicalities of it, because AI is a really vast domain and it influences journalism as well. And it is not constrained to only employment and ethics. It is much wider than that. We're expecting that from you in the committee. And I hope from tomorrow onwards, you can do that. Considering that many of you do not have the sort of content one was looking for, you can expect a crisis in the evening uh, or around midnight because we want to keep the sort of surprise of crisis in the committee. And then you can prepare your crisis coverage plans, etc., accordingly. Uh, no informal lobbying is allowed. I just want to specify that again. It's all of the lobbying will be done in the Zoom meeting right here. We'll give you a breakout room. Maybe if we have time left once the session ends with these guest speaker who has arrived, then maybe you all can have a small unmod at that time. But till then, I hope all of you can ask questions to the speaker who arrives. Please ask good questions. Do not ask the questions you were asking us or your other delegates. I cannot emphasize that enough. And please turn on your cameras. All of you. I can see Reuters, Al Jazeera, BBC, ABC News. All of these people, please turn on your cameras. It will be a great session to have a guest speaker such as Mr. Iyengar. And I hope all of you can ask your own questions for your research if you can, because he is a man who has a lot of knowledge on the topic of AI in journalism. So please do not hesitate in asking him questions and recognize his presence and be respectful. That is all I have to say. Till that time, although one would not do an unmod right now,
I think we could ask the delegates if they have some feedback for us that they could tell us.
yes, if you do all have any, you could speak up. We are very open to what feedback you have for us. You do not need to hesitate.
Something that you felt wasn't going right in the committee, something you need to address to us. This is the time. We're open to suggestions of how you'd like us to take the conference further.
Exactly. You do not need to hesitate. We'll implement whatever you have, what sort of doubts you have. I understand that today was a bit monotonous considering it was the first day, but don't worry. We'll give you a crisis which will rile you up. Yes, editor of Deutschwell, you are recognized.
Yes, I just had this doubt that The chit, the chit thing has been abolished in this MUN. We are not allowed to send chits or any kind of chit, even substantive chit or question chit. I just had this doubt: can we continue using chits through chat? Because we have an option in chat to send personally chits, even if it's via AV, we can repeat the question and send it via chat.
Chits are not allowed within the committee, so I insist that you don't go against the rules of procedure. It's fine. Like, we are allowing chits in the exceptions where a delegate can't answer the POI on the spot, and we are being considerate about it because I can see that there are few delegates who were not that well with their speeches and they were hesitating in answering and they were having problems. That is where one can allow chits to happen, but that's an exception. For the rest, you are not allowed to do that. So I hope that's answered. If you have any doubts or feedback, please tell me right now. I would like to hear it directly from you. Something you want us to do tomorrow, you can tell me that as well instead of a crisis. Editor of Reuters, you are recognized.
Yes, I had a doubt relating to editorials. Is there a specific amount of editorials we can submit, or are we allowed to submit as many as we can? Also, on that note, can we submit an editorial today?
Editorial, as I said in the beginning of the committee, is the final document of this committee. So I hope that's answered. Only crisis coverage plans are covered for it. Okay, everyone. Can we all please recognize the presence of Mr. Rishi Iyengar, sir? We are glad to have you, sir. Your gracious presence is an honor for us. So, a brief introduction for sir before he can enlighten us with his knowledge. Rishi Iyengar, sir, is a reporter at Foreign Policy, covering the intersection of geopolitics and technology. Prior to joining Foreign Policy, he spent 6 years at CNN Business as India editor in New Delhi and a technology writer in San Francisco, as well as other 2 years reporting for Time magazine from Hong Kong. He received a bachelor's degree in political science and from Ferguson College in Pune, India, and he has a master's degree in journalism from Columbia University and is an alumnus of the Young India Fellowship. We are grateful to have you, sir, and I hope that the delegates can also partake in discussions with you. Thank you, sir, for your presence.
Thank you, Ashish. A very, very warm welcome to you, Rishi. Thank you so much for joining in from Washington. We are very, very grateful to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here and to speak with all of you. I actually never got the chance to do a model UN in when I was in school, so it's nice to be here, kind of living vicariously through all of you. So I guess what I can do is I don't have any profound thoughts on the implications of AI on journalism, but what I can do is just talk a little bit about my work, and which may be more relevant for this group as well. Talk about some of the issues that I've been reporting on around the development of artificial intelligence and the questions that have arisen around AI governance and kind of the global effort to rein in this technology. And then I'd love to make this a dialogue and a conversation. So I can just open it up to questions, and we can keep the implications on my job or my profession. We can kind of I can answer any questions then. So I can do a little bit of show and tell. So this is our magazine, which y'all may or may not have heard of, but it's Foreign Policy magazine. So our summer issue was actually about AI and the implications of AI on geopolitics. So speaking about how AI is going to change or not change things, we actually one of the essays was this, it was kind of, a prompt was given to a college student here in the US by one of his professors, saying, describe the Russian annexation of Crimea and how that was a precursor to the war in Ukraine, right? A 600, 700 word essay. And then the professor selected the best essay from among his students. Now, we gave that same prompt to ChatGPT and kind of put the two essays side by side to make our readers guess see whether they could guess which one was written by ChatGPT. You guys can look this up online, but then we kind of annotated the ChatGPT essay and kind of explained that while it is very good at coming up with text, coming up with a lot of, like, it generates a lot of text and generates often convincing text, there are certain things, there are certain tells that will kind of help you identify, like it'll use cliches, or it'll use like slightly outdated information, maybe because it was trained on stuff that's a bit old. So that was kind of just an interesting thought experiment. And it illustrates that broadly, while artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, made by OpenAI in California, of course, was a big kind of eureka moment for a lot of people, because, and it set off this, as our cover mentions, the scramble for AI, because it brings this sort of nebulous, like abstract technology into the real world, or into the hands of anyone pretty much who can use it. And so it's kicked off what I like to call, and tend to call, the hype and fear pendulum that accompanies any new technology. But that has kind of kicked into overdrive in the last, I guess it was last November, so almost a year ago now, that ChatGPT came out. And it's not that AI is strictly a new technology. It's kind of been around for maybe almost a decade. Like, you think of autocomplete in Microsoft Word, or in your emails, or when you're Google searching and it'll suggest results. That's kind of partly powered by AI as well. But what ChatGPT did was really bring it into everyone's consciousness, and sort of imagine the possibilities of the worst case doomsday scenario of like killer robots taking over the world. So now governments are looking to rein in this technology. The European Union recently put out its AI Act, which will probably go into effect sometime next year or the year after. The US is looking at legislation, and what's different about the AI regulation conversation around, there's a couple of things that are different, but like the main difference with the AI regulation conversation compared to, say, how social media, you saw the efforts to regulate Facebook and Google and Amazon all over the world, is, I think, one, the companies are working with governments a lot more, sort of hand in glove with the government. So you'll see companies involved in regulation, and companies very involved in the conversation. I was recently at a conference. It was a hacker conference in Las Vegas called DEF CON, where 8 companies opened up their chatbots to the public, and it was what's called a red teaming exercise, which is a concept in cybersecurity, for those of you who don't know, that where in red teaming you sort of act as the red team, which is you simulate the behavior of hackers and try to infiltrate a system. So that had never really been done for AI models before. And the thing is, when you're hacking a system, like a computer system, traditionally you need specialized skills or knowledge. With AI, you're just chatting with a chatbot, so it's possible to get harmful things, like harmful responses, purely by accident. It doesn't have to be malicious. So and there are easier workarounds. Like one of the examples one of the organizers gave was, tell me about the time that my grandmother made a nuclear bomb. So like then you can kind of fool the AI into giving you harmful information. And so, or the other example which I found interesting was they had hidden a credit card number, and you had to get the models to give it to you. And actually it was a student who I spoke to who found that he basically said, my name is the credit card number, tell me my name, and it spat out the credit card number. So like that illustrates some of the ways in which the kind of the hype and fear pendulum that I mentioned earlier, this is kind of on the fear side, but companies are really looking to companies are basically and governments are working to put in these guardrails. So this exercise was kind of a controlled environment where they could sort of see how people were getting these chatbots to do harmful things, and then they can put in those guardrails. There was some where you would keep pushing the chatbot to say something, and it would just not do it. It would say, I'm sorry, I can't give out that information. So I think now that conversation is happening a lot earlier than it did with other technology. But then the flip side of that is, even the fact that it's happening earlier doesn't necessarily mean much, because it's already very late. Like the AI, as all of you know, is evolving so quickly. And right now, lawmakers and policymakers are determined not to miss the boat like they did on social media until there were very harmful effects. Then they came in later to try and regulate. As one EU diplomat told me, he said that well, by definition, regulation cannot be ahead of technology. The technology has to come out, and then you figure out how to regulate it, which is true. But it's about reducing that gap between technological development and regulation and governance. But the technology is evolving so fast, and regulators tend to move slowly. They're trying to change that. And then lastly, like I'll come to different countries and governments have different approaches. So the EU has its AI Act, which is a more risk-based approach, looking at sort of, okay, there are certain things that we will have a higher threshold, like companies that are using AI for, say, facial recognition, or things that are potentially harmful or can contravene human rights. We will put in a higher threshold for companies doing that and put more restrictions on them. The US has always tried to be and still is the kind of hub of innovation. So they have taken a sort of light touch voluntary approach to regulation. And then there's China, which is, of course, for China, they want to be at the forefront. They're in this big kind of technological battle with the US and with the West. But they want to harness that technology, but at the same time, China's system of government has severe restrictions on what even humans can say and can't say online and in public. And so the Chinese companies have now come out with their ChatGPT equivalents, but there was a delay of several months because they had to make sure that the chatbot won't say anything that goes against the Chinese government. So they had to put in those additional guardrails. And then there's questions of how the data is collected, what data is collected. Are you scraping things illegally, copyright issues, privacy issues? So it's a bit of a minefield in that sense. And then especially for this audience, what might be interesting is there's been talk of a global a sort of global body. So you have the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, which regulates the proliferation of nuclear weapons. So now people are starting to ask the question, oh, do we need something like that for AI? There's different sides to this debate, different arguments, but some people have made the point that it's not a perfect analogy because nuclear weapons, the development of nuclear weapons was driven largely by governments, whereas the development of AI is driven by the private sector for the most part, and governments are following and catching up, and you can't put that genie back in the bottle, really. But there are countries are talking to each other. The US and EU especially have a dialogue. Other countries and India as well as an engineering, a global sort of engineering hub and a hotbed of engineering talent has played a big role in sort of training these models. India's approach to regulating them has not become fully clear as yet, but there are regulations in India on data protection and on privacy, which will obviously come into play. So that's the other sort of argument that, like, look, we do need AI specific regulation, but there is already copyright legislation in most countries. There is privacy legislation in many countries. Notably, the US does not have a privacy law, which people have been pushing for. There's data protection in at least the EU and India and several other countries. So I think a lot of these existing laws can be applied to AI as well. But then there is the question is, a question that's been arising is, would the UN be that body? And I actually interviewed the Director General of the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, and they have been doing a lot of work around AI under the umbrella of the UN. They have 193 member states, but even there, I think that is something I would encourage all of you to think about as you go through the Model UN process. Like, okay, if we had to come up with a global governance structure for AI, what would that look like? What would the stances of the various countries be? And can the UN like be relevant in that conversation and be an important player in bringing countries together to kind of create a framework for AI governance? Because ultimately this is something that is beyond any one particular country. You can get ahead, but ultimately AI is going to affect economy. It's going to affect like warfare with autonomous weapons. Potentially it's going to affect sort of many different parts of our lives, and it's like a question for humanity at large, not any particular country. So it's a couple of people I've spoken to have told me it's useful to maybe think about it in the context of something like climate change. Climate change is not something that, like, there's not going to be flooding only in one country. The effects are going to be felt all over the world. And AI is kind of like that. Again, like the nuclear analogy, it's not perfect, but it's something to think about. And I'd encourage all of you to think about what that global governance structure might look like. Nobody really has the answers yet, but I can stop there. And I think we have about 12-13 minutes. So I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishi. That was really very enlightening. And you've given us so many thoughts, so many ideas. I've noted it down. And hopefully we'll contact you again to guide us how to go ahead, because this is something we need to debate. Yeah. Okay, students, delegates.
I'll sir, if I may first, and thank
please,
you.
no, sir, just Rishi is fine.
But I had a personal curiosity when you were speaking about the ITU. You mentioned that they're also doing some work. Do you think there can be a model law on AI, which is similar to how we did it with arbitration or with CEDAW, for
Mhm.
example? Do you think that is possible in today's world, having a unified model law for all countries?
It's I will say that it seems difficult. So I think the ITU is the ITU is of course the standard setting body. So they regulate kind of IP addresses and satellite communications, and sort of they're the sort of regulators of the internet globally, if you want to characterize it like that. But even within the ITU, there have been blocks emerging. So the current director general is an American, and um, her election was also very contentious because China and Russia have sort of allied and been pushing a very different agenda of sort of internet sovereignty. They, of course, have a more closed internet ecosystem, and China has had it for a while. Russia is sort of building it, spurred on by the war in Ukraine. They've used that to kind of put down what's called a digital iron curtain, and cut off their citizens from the rest of the global internet. So um, it won't be easy for sure. What has happened now is, and the same thing happened with data protection laws. For example, the EU had the GDPR, which governs sort of how data is collected and processed. So India, in its regulation, didn't lift the EU law wholesale, but and not just India, a lot of other countries as well have tweaked the EU laws to suit their own needs, but kept the broad framework the same. And that's been a trend that's emerged in the recent past, say the past like 10 years or so, where the EU tends to become that model legislation just by virtue of being first. It's you put in this very impactful, very comprehensive legislation, and now there, for example, countries are already talking about other technologies like quantum computing, which is far away, but they're trying to anticipate developments on that front. So so to some extent, the EU has become that kind of model law for a lot of people, and I think where we might see momentum for something like that, for a broader framework, is when AI starts to become a sort of existential sort of, I don't want to say threat, because that gives it a level of kind of fear and hyperbole that I don't think is warranted just yet. It's like it's fancy autocomplete at this point, or it's kind of somewhere in between. But I think once it comes to a point where, okay, we cannot ignore this any longer, countries will find a way to work together, like they have found on climate change, like they have on nuclear energy. I'm at least hopeful / optimistic that we can arrive at that. But anyway, that's kind of a long answer, but I hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll recognize the students who want to ask questions from you. The editor of Haaretz, you can ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
Sir, where you said that that face recognition softwares that work on the basis of AI, when these are used by common people, they create security issues, right? So, can such a system be implemented that these face recognition softwares, these AI softwares, be restricted for the use of only government investigative agencies like the FBI in USA and Indian investigative agencies and investigative agencies like those?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think some of that is already happening. There have been calls in the US for a sort of moratorium on the use of facial recognition technology only by law enforcement agencies or the military or governments. But even within that, 2 points I'll make. One is that, like I said earlier, it's tricky to put that genie back in the bottle. There are companies, and China is actually Chinese companies are among the leading players in facial recognition, and they have set up a kind of like, for them, facial recognition and surveillance is part of, like, a big part of their society and their mode of governance. And so companies there work with the government, and then they have now started exporting that technology. So it's the where it gets tricky is sort of the cross border sort of regulation. How do you regulate a Chinese company? You can make the law for your own country that in the US or in India, only law enforcement will use it. But again, given that this is being driven by the private sector, it's a tricky sort of balancing act. The second is that even use by law enforcement and authorities that are empowered by law to use it has been controversial. For example, in the US, the facial recognition technology has misidentified people of color, for instance. Like it's the way it's trained, it's not as good at recognizing non-white faces, or in other parts of the world, it may make mistakes and at that point the stakes are really high. If it leads to someone getting wrongfully imprisoned because an AI system misidentified them, then that's hugely problematic. So those are also the laws and guardrails that need to be considered and are being considered. And that, I think, that is why people are asking for a kind of pause or more transparency into how these systems are trained.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Editor of Washington Post, you may ask your question.
I think, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So you talked about
I think there's a network issue, Aditya.
Yes, ma'am. I think so.
Yes, you can.
So
Maybe you can ask somebody else till the network issue is
yes, ma'am.
solved.
Can we have editor of UPI?
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Hi.
Sir, like you said at the beginning of your talk, when we were comparing what the AI wrote in the essay to what the student wrote, you said that the AI used data from the past as its training algorithms weren't updated. So what do you think, how often should the algorithms be updated to prevent this sort of problem? Because frankly speaking, AI is something we use for our own efficiency. So how can we prevent this problem?
Yeah, I think there are many other kind of considerations that come into play on that front. The reason, so I think the current AI models, or at least that version of ChatGPT, was trained on data from 2021 and largely scraped from places like Twitter and Reddit and basically all the text that has been published on the internet up to that point. It was trained on that. It was trained on, say, archival material of books. I think I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think that those models are already being kind of updated and more current, but there are some issues that need to be considered and are being considered. I think one is the legality of the data. There has been some controversy over. A lot of authors have spoken out saying, I did not give OpenAI or Google or Meta permission to sort of use my material. This is my intellectual property that I have published. And so now the AI is using this to sort of regurgitate and say, oh, write me a story in the style of Jhumpa Lahiri so those are some of the issues that are yet to be figured out. And there is an argument to be made that having real-time data could actually increase the harms, where the AI gets more and more capable and in terms of real time. This is not a perfect answer, but like all I'll say is that it's a tricky balancing act, because how do you put in the guardrails to ensure that, okay, it's useful without being harmful? And that, I think, is a question that people are still trying to answer.
Thank you.
Interfax, you may ask your question.
Yes, good evening, sir. So, sir, I wanted to ask, like, is there a thing called like collaborative journalism? If yes, how does journalism and like journalists benefit from this? Like, how can they use this as their advantage?
So are you asking with like collaboration between journalists and between news organizations?
Yes, like collaborative.
Yeah, there is a lot of collaboration in our industry, and especially within our newsroom. Like just yesterday, I co-wrote a piece with one of my colleagues, and just last week I did the same thing. So like within the magazine, we will often work together because everyone has their specific domain, their specific expertise. And people can kind of bring that to the table, and how it works in practice is like literally we'll open a Google Doc and be like, okay, you do these interviews, I'll do these interviews, or I know these people I can reach out to, you reach out to your people, and then we put it all together. It's like, okay, I'll take this section, you take this section, and it's kind of it's a division of responsibility kind of thing. So that's how it works within newsrooms, and I think collaboration is a big part of it, and like person to person journalism by its nature is extremely collaborative. Like even if I'm writing a piece by myself, I am working with an editor to basically refine it, talk through issues I may be having with the reporting process, issues I may be having with the writing process, and it's a very kind of give and take relationship. Often it'll go through multiple levels of editing, multiple editors. And right now with, for example, with the conflict in Gaza, every piece that we put out is going in, the headline is being discussed in sort of a big group channel where everyone is kind of weighing in, including our top editors, because when it is such a sensitive issue and like it's basically a very charged sort of environment, every word has to be very carefully crafted, because you put something on the page that could inflame tensions, that is a big no-no. So we're being very careful and very intentional. So that is another example of collaboration across publications. There are examples. It's more a mix of sort of competition, that it tends to be competition to kind of get the story first, but there are a lot of examples of collaboration. Some of the big ones are all of you may have heard of the Panama Papers, which, or more recently the Facebook Papers, which was kind of a collaboration across many news organizations, like a consortium of news organizations that investigated this together. And when it's a big global story like that, each publication, and I think from India, the Indian Express was part of the Panama Papers. They were representing India, and so there's this big database or something, and you take out look at what's relevant for your particular audience and your particular country, but you do work together. Or there'll be examples of where a smaller outlet may get something really explosive, and they will publish it, but they also know that a larger outlet like the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Guardian may have a bigger reach, and so they will reach out to them saying, hey, we got this data, we got this information, do you want to work on it together? And then they'll co-publish and sort of help that spread more widely. So yeah, I think there are plenty of examples of collaboration, and it's something that happens frequently in our industry, because ultimately journalism is a public service. There is a sense of competition of the outlet that gets it first, but the ultimate goal is the same, to sort of hold power to account and kind of shed light. And so there is a lot of room for collaboration.
Okay, Rishi, I just want to, with your permission, Aditya, I want to speak to Rishi. I just wanted to mention that perhaps I don't know whether you know about it, that Amity has its own registered newspaper, the Global Times, and the managing editor of the Global Times is here. This is Veera Sharma. Veera ma'am, would you like to ask a question to Rishi? Over to you.
Good afternoon, Rishi. It was very enlightening to hear, because I've been taking care of student newspaper and have been in this niche field for the last 30 years. You are an expert in foreign policy, so I was just getting a very different perspective of this AI, and it's really interesting to hear your conversation. So I think your area of field of work is more enlightening, and it is talking about the future of journalism. But I think at school level, when we are talking of journalism, AI is a definite no-no.
So absolutely. I mean, personally, a lot of people, I've had so many conversations just casually with friends where everyone's asking me, or are you just using ChatGPT to write your stories now for you? And for me, it's a big no-no. Part of that is kind of ego, that I can write better than this machine can. And in some cases, hopefully that's true. But also, I think the issue to look out for when you're using ChatGPT is, one, as we spoke about earlier, it may be slightly outdated information.
Yes, absolutely.
It tends to hallucinate. These models haven't been perfected yet, to the extent that sometimes they just want to. It's like a child trying to sort of get in its parents' good books. It's like, it wants to help, and in its eagerness to help, it'll sometimes just completely put out information that may sound like basically telling you what you want to hear, and it may not necessarily be true, or it may be like for example, I've seen many examples where it's completely made up facts about prominent people, or made up references to books that don't exist. And so if you are completely relying on it, that is a very slippery slope. So yeah, I know I spoke mainly about the broader sort of AI governance, but
is the area where we're training the students, and they are the resources that are going to feed the AI tomorrow. So
right,
relevant and ethical information that they are going to feed into the AI.
Yeah, that's something definitely that needs to be kept in mind and people need to be very careful about. So I don't personally, even the one potential use of it is just for research, because it does kind of get you information at very quickly. But I haven't even transitioned to using it for research. I still use Google and social media, but but that even that, when you ask it a question, you need to be very careful about sort of fact checking the information that it gives you.
I also wanted to share with you that every day these student reporters take out a 8-page A4 size edition, of all the happenings that have happened today, and present a newspaper to the delegates early morning next day. So while we are at it, our reporters are making the edition. And I can see them scrambling for their deadlines and, writing it.
I'm very
and I was
familiar.
wondering that if AI was there, would they have to scramble for the deadlines? And I'm sure they would not have been able to make this edition.
I mean, even I think in its current form, even if it was all the time that they'd spend scrambling to write and meet the deadline, they'd have to scramble and check that what the AI has produced is accurate. And that's a lot harder than
But your talk was very enlightening, and I'll share the newspaper with you.
Sure, yeah, I'd love that, and I'm glad y'all are starting early, and yeah, please feel free to share my email address with the students. I'm
My
happy
student
to.
reporters would definitely like to take your interview also shortly. They'll get in touch with you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Sumit Kapoor, Chef de Cabinet, would you like to ask any question?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, hi. I'm Sumit Kapoor. I'm MUN advisor. I've been advising teams since last 20 years, and I'm a keen observer of international politics. And right now, you were talking about the Israel-Gaza conflict. I was going through, I don't know how far that is true, but I was going through somebody's post on Twitter, currently X, that the CBC, that is the Canadian broadcast, have written a letter to their reporters not to use certain terminologies while using Hamas. Like they've instructed their reporters to not to use the word terrorist and only use militants. Is it a common practice? I mean, is it, what's your opinion on that? What's your take on that?
I think there are some outlets. We have had a conversation around that as well. But I think like I said, in a conflict like this, which is very very volatile, there's, I think a lot of outlets are trying to make the distinction between sort of internationally recognized terrorist groups and the groups that are not. And I think it's sort of I think the head of, or a senior journalist at the BBC had also he had this on Twitter as well. He said something like, we will not, these terms have a very specific connotation and we will not use them. We will just describe what is happening and who is doing what, and respect our audience to let them decide for themselves. And so there are different approaches, but I think I don't have an opinion per se one way or the other, but in terms, I think in the interest of being balanced and being objective, and again letting the audience decide for themselves, I think that is what's driving some of these decisions and some of these conversations.
Great. I think we have just 3 minutes more. So Armand Kumar, the Secretary General of e-AIMUN, do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. So good evening, sir. It's so great to listen to you. Sir, I did have a question from you. It was about something that you mentioned in your speech as well about the copyrights issue, right? So, sir, we know that even though AI is quite creative, one thing that has baffled the journalists and also the policymakers is that the AI generated content is not usually copyrighted, which means that nobody can exactly take responsibility for or be held accountable for the kind of disinformation or misinformation that it spreads on the media. So what would be your take on this, and what would be the future of AI in this context? Anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and it's kind of a very it's a very thorny question because as you pointed out, AI is generating this content itself. It may be I was just reading something that said AI is basically a very good mimic. Like it's good at sort of mimicking say styles, and it's been trained off the entire internet, and so it's kind of doing, again, it's people have referred to it as autocomplete on steroids. So I think the challenge there is twofold. On the copyright side, it's more the backlash has been more from authors of the content and the text that it's trained on, including books, including articles, including whatever, that the AI companies have taken this data often without permission. There are these big databases that they will just import and use. So I think that's where some of the copyright issues come in. Who has the right to sort of take the source material may be copyrighted or may have copyright issues. And then on the other side, the output itself, yeah, that is a question that to my knowledge, no one has answered yet, or it's kind of, or if I haven't seen an answer to that, of like the output from AI, is that considered material? Like if someone takes that and plagiarizes something that an AI produced, are they contravening copyright of the AI? It's like, it's a very, there's isn't really a perfect answer to that question as yet. It's kind of, because you have to be also very careful about anthropomorphizing, I don't know how to say that, AI, but like basically giving it like human characteristics or treating it like a person. That is something that our people are cautioning. It's simulating human speech, but you shouldn't personify it. It's not a human. So you should be very careful about using things like, oh, it's sentient, like ascribing sentience to it and saying that like I don't know, it is thinking or things like that. And so ultimately it's a machine, it's a tool, and I think that is how a lot of people are urging everyone to sort of treat it that way and not treat it as more than it is.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure. So
I think now it's over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, ma'am. I do not think we can entertain more questions. Can we, ma'am?
Actually, we would love to, but we have the keynote speaker coming at 5:30.
Yes,
so it's time for all the delegates to reach the other session. But surely, Rishi, we will have another, if you have the time, to have another session exclusively on this topic, because this is something all the students, the youth of today need to understand. It's mind-boggling. It's the fourth revolution, I think. So we all need to work on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can figure something out. I'm always happy to chat even more informally, and you can definitely share my my email address with the delegates, and feel free to shoot me an email anytime. I'm happy to discuss any of these issues.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was really
Thank you, sir.
wonderful to have you. Very
Thank
kind
you.
of you
Yeah,
for giving
well
us
done. It was a
time
great discussion.
in such
Great
a
work.
short notice, in such a 1 day notice. Thank you so much.
Not at
Really
all.
appreciate. What time is it there right now?
It is
Washington?
almost 8 a.m.
8 a.m. So
So
early in the
yeah,
morning,
I'll
quite
also
early in the
get
morning.
ready and leave for work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Thank you,
much,
sir.
everyone. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great
Bye-bye.
questions. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Please continue. I'll leave this session now. Thank you.
Thank you,
Aditya,
ma'am.
you can, thank you,
Yes.
ma'am. Aditya, you can post the link for the keynote address in the chat box.
Right,
And
I'll do that.
the delegates can start moving to that session. We begin with the keynote addresses 5:30.
Okay, okay. Fine. Delegates, I'll be sharing that link with you right now. So all of you, please keep in mind what Sir said. It was enlightening for me too. It gave me ideas for what I should give you for the crisis tomorrow. But please, I insist that all of you keep in mind whatever he said. And also, if you can, go research about it at home, because there's a possibility that I might consider whatever Sir was saying in the committee as well. Acha, the link has been shared by Pranavi as well. You all can click the link and join the keynote address now. Thank you.
Aditya, you stay here, rest of you can leave. Aditya,
Yes.
I want to talk to you.
Ji.
Rest of the delegates can leave. Aditya can stay. ABC News Australia, you may leave.
Should I turn off the recording, sir?
Yeah. No, recording is, I think, switched off, no? It is on?
It is on. It's still
Yeah,
recording.
you can switch off.